There is a question that has haunted every trader, every gambler, every person who has ever succeeded at something. Was it skill or was it luck? Most of us never stop to ask. We assume the answer is obvious. We assume the world rewards the deserving. But what if the line between genius and fool is thinner than a coin flip, and we only ever get to see the ones who landed on heads? This is the story of what happens when we forget that luck has a hand on the wheel. Picture two neighbors. One is a careful, methodical trader, educated, cautious, allergic to big risks. He builds his wealth slowly, one small gain at a time, year after year. The other is his opposite, loud, confident, magnetic. He throws himself into high-yield junk bonds and wins big, again and again, becoming the toast of every dinner party. For a while, he looks like the smarter man. Then the market turns, and the loud one loses everything he ever made. This is not a new story. 25 centuries ago, the philosopher Solon stood before the fabulously wealthy king Croesus and refused to call him happy. Not yet, Solon said. Fortune is fickle. No man can be judged successful until his story is finished, because what luck gives, luck can just as easily take away. Now imagine a strange offer, $10 million to anyone willing to pull the trigger on a gun loaded with a single bullet, 5 empty chambers, 1 pull. Say someone takes the deal. Say they win. The cameras arrive. The headlines call them brilliant, bold, a genius who beat the odds. But anyone who understands probability sees something else entirely. A person who survived a coin flip with a bullet in it. Ability had nothing to do with it. This is exactly what happens on trading floors every day. We watch the survivors and call them geniuses. We never see the empty chairs of everyone who played the same game and lost. Here is a smaller, gentler example. A retired dentist invests his savings in the market. If he checks his portfolio every minute, he will be tortured. Because in the short term, markets move randomly, and roughly half of those minute-by-minute movements will be losses. The noise will wear him down emotionally, even if the underlying trend is healthy. But if he checks only once a year, he sees something completely different, a story of steady, quiet growth, same portfolio, same numbers. Two entirely different emotional experiences, because one lets randomness whisper in his ear all day, and the other doesn't. Randomness doesn't just fool us about money, it fools us about ideas. A physicist once wrote a paper, deliberately stuffed with meaningless jargon dressed up as profound theory, and a respected academic journal published it without blinking. Elsewhere, surrealist poets once built beautiful, striking poems by literally stringing together random words pulled from a hat. If nonsense can sound wise and randomness can sound like art, how confident should we really be in the confident-sounding voices we hear every day? Even evolution gets misunderstood this way. In finance, we love to say the fittest survive, but often the survivors were simply the luckiest, the ones who happened to buy the right dip at the right moment, right up until the moment they didn't. A brilliant, Harvard-trained trader can ride a winning streak for years, celebrated as a market wizard, until a single unforeseen crash erases everything, models and all. The market doesn't care how sophisticated your math was. It only cares what actually happened. Here is the most dangerous illusion of all, mistaking probability for magnitude. A strategy that wins a small amount nearly every time, but loses catastrophically once, will look brilliant for years, right up until the one loss erases every gain that came before it. Frequency lies. Only the size of the outcome tells the truth. There's a beautiful human echo of this idea. A scientist was once diagnosed with a cancer that had a median survival time of only 8 months. Instead of despairing, he studied the data more closely and realized something crucial: the distribution wasn't a bell curve, it was skewed with a long tail stretching out toward the survivors. The median was not the whole message. He lived for 20 more years. And finally, how much can we truly know from what we've already seen? You can watch 1,000 white swans and still be wrong to declare that all swans are white. It only takes one black swan to shatter the theory. This is the oldest problem in philosophy, and it is also the most urgent problem in every forecast, every model, every confident prediction about tomorrow. The wisest investors don't try to be right. They try to stay humble enough to be proven wrong quickly and to survive the moment when they are. We love stories about self-made millionaires with humble, frugal habits. Books are written celebrating their discipline. But here's the uncomfortable truth. For every disciplined, frugal person who became wealthy, there were countless others with the exact same habits who never made it at all. We don't write books about them. We don't even notice they existed. This is survivorship bias, and it quietly warps almost everything we believe about success. Even the wealthy aren't immune to comparison's cruelty. A man in the top half of 1% of all earners can still feel like a failure if he happens to live among billionaires and measures himself against them instead of everyone else. Take 10,000 completely incompetent investment managers. Have them each flip a coin every year to decide whether they beat the market. Pure chance alone guarantees that roughly 300 of them will produce a perfect winning streak 5 years in a row. The financial press will call them visionaries. Magazines will put their faces on the cover. They didn't do anything except get lucky over and over in front of an audience that mistook coincidence for skill. Life rarely moves in straight lines. Picture a sandpile. You keep adding single grains, nothing happens, and then one more grain triggers a sudden, unpredictable avalanche. Small causes, disproportionate effects. The keyboard you type on today, the QWERTY layout, was actually designed to slow typists down on old mechanical machines. It should have been replaced decades ago by better designs. But it got there first, gained momentum, and now the whole world is locked in, not because it's best, but because it got lucky early. The same pattern built entire tech empires. Our brains simply aren't built for probability. Try explaining a vacation as 50% chance of Paris, 50% chance of the Bahamas. It doesn't compute emotionally the way a plain decision does. And every evening, financial news anchors take tiny, meaningless daily wiggles in the stock market and wrap them in confident, causal stories. Markets fell today because of this or that. As if the universe owed us a tidy explanation for its noise. In a famous experiment, starving pigeons were fed at completely random intervals. Within days, each pigeon developed its own bizarre ritual, spinning, pecking a corner, tilting its head, convinced that this specific behavior was what summoned the food. Traders do the same thing. Lucky ties, specific taxi routes, superstitious rituals before a big trade. We are, all of us, pigeons in a box, searching for causes in pure noise. There's an old story of a philosopher who stood before the Roman Senate and gave a magnificent speech defending justice, and then returned the very next day and dismantled his own argument piece by piece, just as brilliantly. The lesson isn't cynicism, it's humility. The wisest people hold their beliefs loosely, enough to abandon them instantly the moment the evidence changes, without ego, without embarrassment, without needing to have been right all along. And so we arrive at the only real defense against randomness, not prediction, but dignity. There is an old poem that imagines a god abandoning a great, defeated leader as his fortunes collapse. Its advice isn't to fight or mourn the loss. It's to listen to the music one last time and walk away as if you had always known this moment might come. That is the whole philosophy distilled. Play the game with skill, respect the role of chance. And when fortune turns, as it always eventually does, meet it with composure instead of despair. There's one last twist to this story: the careful trader from the very beginning, the one who survived every crash that destroyed his reckless peers, never lost his fortune to the market at all. He grew so irritated by ordinary London traffic that he decided to take up helicopter lessons just to skip the jams. He died in a helicopter crash in a London park. Solon was right. No one can be called fortunate until the story is truly over, and randomness, it turns out, always gets the last word.